Upon noticing a young boy sneaking into her garage in Texas, a resident took proactive measures by installing a camera to uncover the truth. However, upon reviewing the footage the next day, she was utterly shocked. Eleanor Wilson, a senior citizen residing in a tranquil residential area on the outskirts of Rolling Wood, Texas, often found herself alone in their spacious three-bedroom home while her husband, Ron, traveled for work every few weeks. Though reassured by Ron that their neighborhood was safe despite occasional garage noises, Eleanor remained unsettled. To ease her anxieties, she persuaded Ron to acquire a dog. Reluctantly, he agreed, and they welcomed a lively golden retriever named Kilpie into their home. Though not a conventional guard dog, Kilpie provided companionship and would alert Eleanor to any unusual activity outside. One day, while engrossed in a book in her living room, Eleanor heard unfamiliar whimpering noises, prompting her to investigate further. Eleanor approached the garage door cautiously, pushing the button to open it. To her surprise, there was no intruder, only Kilpie lying on the concrete, looking back at her. "What is it, Kilpie? Was that you?" Eleanor questioned, wondering if she was imagining things. She noticed the front of the garage door was open from when her son had left earlier. Returning to her reading, Eleanor tried to dismiss the incident. However, the next day, she witnessed a boy darting toward her garage from the living room window. She yelled, but the glass muffled her voice. Rushing to the garage, she found it empty, leaving her puzzled. That evening, Eleanor recounted the events to her son David, who initially thought she might be experiencing hallucinations. He suggested she see a doctor, but realizing her certainty, he proposed installing security cameras as a practical solution. Skeptical at first, Eleanor warmed to the idea as David explained its affordability and simplicity compared to bank security systems. With a computer and internet already in place, Eleanor decided to connect a camera in her garage to get to the bottom of the mysterious visits. After David left that night, he promptly arranged for a camera to be installed the next morning. Once the setup was complete, the installer demonstrated its capabilities to Eleanor, which she found impressive. The camera allowed real-time monitoring and could scroll back through the last 24 hours. However, she was unprepared for what the footage would reveal. The next day, Eleanor reviewed the tape and found the moment she had witnessed, the boy on the red bike. He cycled to her yard, dropped the bike, and approached the garage, seemingly heading straight for the camera. Nervously, Eleanor gripped her chair, watching intently. As the boy neared the camera, Kilpie bounded into view, greeting him warmly. The boy hugged Kilpie, who seemed unfazed and didn't bark as usual. After some affectionate moments, the boy ran back to his bike and disappeared as quickly as he had arrived. It all began to make sense to Eleanor. Kilpie's noises during the boy's visit explained why he was already gone by the time she reached the garage. But who was this boy? The answer would soon change her life. He asked if anyone knew the boy and expressed her desire to contact him. Remarkably, within hours, a neighbor named Alan identified the boy as Vincent Russo, a local Italian boy. In a private message, Alan provided Vincent's family details. Eleanor wasted no time and headed to their house. She knocked, and a middle-aged lady answered. In the background, Vincent, known as Vanson, shyly peeked out from behind his mother. Eleanor greeted him, but he stayed close to his mother. The mother invited Eleanor in, explaining that Vanson was just a bit shy. As they settled, Eleanor described what she had captured on her video camera. Vanson sat in the corner, looking guilty about his actions. Eleanor reassured him, saying it wasn't a problem and inviting him to play with Kilpie for as long as he wanted. His eyes lit up, and his mother smiled. She explained that their family dog had recently passed away, and Vanson missed her terribly. He had known her for as long as he had been alive, and tears welled up in his eyes as his mother spoke of their beloved pet. It was evident that the dog had been a dear friend to Vanson, and her loss weighed heavily on him. Eleanor had an idea to cheer Vanson up. She told him he didn't have to sneak in and out anymore. He could come play with Kilpie in the backyard whenever he wished. Vanson couldn't believe it. Previously feeling ashamed, he was now overjoyed. "Thank you so much," Vanson said, giving Eleanor a big hug. She promised Vanson's mother she would look after him and inform her whenever he visited. Over the next few years, Vanson visited Kilpie almost daily. As he grew older, his visits became less frequent. By the time Vanson was ready for college, he would drop by his parents' house and Kilpie's place only once every few weeks. He said his goodbyes before moving out, not knowing that their next meeting would be under vastly different circumstances. Years later, Ron lost his job, and Eleanor faced financial hardship, forcing them to sell their house to make ends meet. The house was sold before it went to auction, marking the end of an era. As Kilpie aged, Ron and Eleanor struggled to afford the medication he needed. Kilpie would wait in the garage, in the same spot where Vanson used to find him, which broke their hearts. They feared Kilpie would never see Vanson again, until one day, Vanson arrived unannounced, this time on a motorbike instead of a bicycle. Despite the change, Kilpie recognized him immediately, and they shared an emotional reunion. Eleanor, in complete disbelief, asked Vanson why he was there as she invited him inside. With a big smile, Vanson said he had a surprise for Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. Vanson had grown up significantly, sporting a beard and broad shoulders, looking very fit. He explained that he had heard about Kilpie from his mother and brought some medicine to help out. Overwhelmed, Ron hugged Vanson tightly, grateful for his kindness. Vanson then revealed that he had been working as an investor and was now quite wealthy. He explained that he had bought their house and wanted them to keep it. Though Ron and Eleanor initially refused, Vanson insisted. He credited Kilpie and the Wilsons for turning his childhood around, stating that without them, he wouldn't be where he was today. In Kilpie's final years, Vanson visited him every day, just as he had when he was a child.